team with this group of leaders and all of our staff and with you all to move the city forward. And that might be very naive, but that's my goal, and I think we can work together to do that.
I think you also asked us, Fred, to give you an opportunity to ensure that, I mean, because I'm not trying to, I know I'm picking on Tony a little bit. I'm not asking us to put Tony's ethics conviction on his
who?
Our former city manager.
You should not mention that
Okay,
to me.
sorry.
You,
all right.
You jump the bounds all the time. I just wish you wouldn't do that.
My point is that I'm not asking us to include his ethics conviction in the personnel record. I'm not going there. I'm not trying to litigate those past battles. But when our current city manager was hired at the beginning of the year, he did ask us to give him 6 months to try to work this thing out to ensure that it doesn't happen anymore. This happened since then. This strike was issued, it was kept off the record, and then the behavior was repeated the next month. And we took action to undo what our city solicitor did the second time around. But the point of the matter is that nobody's holding anybody accountable here. I mean, where's the accountability, and what do we need to do? I mean, because you told us, you asked us to lay this on you, and assured us that you asked us not to take any action, and assured us that you would bring that accountability instead. That didn't happen. And here we have an instance where I'm asking, what do we need to do just to put the strike on the record?
Well, I guess, you know, if you're putting this on me, put it on me. You know, I think that we had an understanding when you took me on as interim in January, when the 2 new commissioners came on. And I have been evaluating staff, and I have been working with staff, and I've seen significant improvement in some department heads.
Agreed.
I'm sorry?
Agreed. I agree.
And, you know, I work with the department heads day to day, and I'm telling you, they're in the trenches. Last week, within the last week, we have had over 800, probably closer to 1,000 telephone calls about the new trash service, the pay-as-you-throw trash service. And instead of wanting to talk about that or commend staff, for some reason, you're attacking staff tonight. And I just do not understand that.
Have it got to that point?
And, you know, I'm on the line here. I'll put myself on the line. Everybody that knows me knows that I'm a faithful, hard-working person. And I'm very optimistic that with the staff that we have, we'll give the city the services they deserve. So I don't know where the commission wants to go with this. I don't know if you're evaluating me in the open right now. I don't quite know how to.
I'm trying to be pretty simple and straightforward. I'm asking what I think is a pretty simple, straightforward question.
Mm-hmm.
What do we need to do to put that strike on the record?
Well,
is it on the record now that we've discussed it in public?
It's
What
It's-
is
it's
it?
in the public.
We discussed Tony's ethics commission in public.
What are you asking him? Is he on review now?
No, I'm saying that the commission issued a strike against the city officer. I mean, and granted, and I'm not even getting into the fact that after doing that, the city officer went and did exactly what he'd been reprimanded for a month earlier, again, after telling us that he wasn't going to change the way he did things unless we replaced him, which, again, I agree, and I think that's true. I don't think he will change the way he does things unless we replace him, but that's beside the point. I'm just asking, I mean, what do we need to do to hold anybody accountable for anything around here? To put anything on the record? You know what? I'll even make another example. A while ago, when we were dealing with the CSX rail line going up East Main, you know, and the possibility of converting that into a bike trail. I was hoping, my family and I were hoping to take a vacation down to Florida then. It turns out we weren't able to go. Our dog got sick, and so we just stayed home with her and spent her last few days with her. But when I thought I would be going down to Florida, I asked the commission in a work session right here in this room if anybody would object to, while I'm down there, my going to CSX headquarters in Jacksonville and lobbying them, you know, to grant the city permission to use this trail. And the response we got back from the commission, cut and dried, was that of course they wouldn't have any objection to that. We wouldn't object to any citizen lobbying CSX on this matter on the city's behalf. And that's in line with the priorities we set at the very beginning of the year. And that is the role of the city commission, is to set direction for the city. That's not a power trip thing. That's not an ego thing. It's what we were elected to do. It's the way a representative democracy is supposed to function. I mean, if city officers and city employees aren't accountable to the direction we set, then the city isn't accountable to the voters or its own constituents. So the point is, at the very beginning of the year, we made it clear that one of our top priorities was to share public information with the public, was openness and transparency. That's a general priority. And then very specifically, in regards to whether or not citizens should be, permitted to contact CSX on our behalf, we even said very clearly, yes, we want to do that. Mm-hmm. And yet, after declaring that, when citizens asked our city solicitor for the contact, because so far the city solicitor had been the only contact with CSX. So after that, citizens asked the city solicitor for that contact information. He says, and he sends an email to them saying that he's spoken with Fred, and they agree that the public shouldn't be provided that information. And he refused to give it to them in that email, despite the very clear direction set by the city commission prior. And the point of it, this isn't a matter of us, and I know that we politically promised openness and transparency. This isn't a matter of us bringing openness and transparency because of some craven political purpose. I mean, that's something that I genuinely care about, that I really think the city needs to respect and adhere to in blunt terms. And the commission has even agreed that. I mean, that's a direction that the commission has officially set. We're going to be more open, we're going to be more transparent, we're going to share public information with the public. And yet we've got staff who refuse to do that, even in very specific circumstances like that. If there's zero accountability, then city government ultimately isn't being responsive to the public. I mean, that's why we have a city manager form of government. It's why we have a representative democracy. The chain of command is the voters or the public, and then the commission answers to them, and the city manager and department heads and on down go by the direction set by the commission. But the way this year's been operating, time after time after time, the commission doesn't set directions that staff follow. The commission makes suggestions. Staff choose to, maybe they'll do them, maybe they won't, maybe they'll do the exact opposite. Maybe we'll know they've done the exact opposite, and maybe we won't. We're not always told. But in an absence of accountability, this whole form of government, this whole system, isn't working the way it's supposed to. And we can point fingers, and I know it seems like I'm pointing lots of fingers at staff, and to an extent I am. But the buck stops with us. I mean, yes, our city manager should be, our city solicitor shouldn't be doing the reverse of what we say. Yes, our city manager should be holding him accountable for that and not supporting him in it. And in that instance, unfortunately, our city manager did agree that that information should be withheld from the public. And yeah, they should be doing that stuff, but we should. But when we say charging our own subsidiary interests is bad, don't do that anymore, and they turn around and do it again, then shame on them, but shame on us. Ultimately, that's a failure on our part, and that's something Yeah, they should do their job. They should follow the law. They should respect KRS and city manager form of government and actually carry out the direction set forth by the city commission. But if they don't do that, then it's our responsibility. It's ultimately our responsibility to make sure this stuff happens, and we haven't been living up to that responsibility.
Okay, so Commissioner May.
Mayor, I just want to.
Then after Commissioner May, if no one else is really, you want Commissioner Hayden?
I just have
Okay.
one last thing, and
One
it's a
last
good,
thing.
nice
Okay,
positive
and
thing.
then let's move on, please, to the new business.
I would just say that if members of the commission have some specific instances that they would like the board to look at, that we reduce those to writing and discuss them in a personnel setting. Some of this I'm not exactly comfortable when we're talking about specific staff members. I don't know that we ought to be talking in public because of privacy and just general personnel guidelines, that we don't violate someone's right to privacy under that. I don't know if we are or we're not. But at the same time, if we've got if commissioners have something that's specific, then obviously then I think we should bring it. Any member that has something, bring it forward, and we'll talk about it in a full-blown personnel session, and we'll air it out and get it taken care of once and for all.
But I guess
I'm not making a challenge. I'm just saying it's just I think rather than us.
Okay, we're never going to finish this conversation. We're going to Commissioner Hedden, and then I'm going to make a moment. We're going on to new business.
Hackbart and Mr.
Okay.
Dawson, would you please
All right.
thank your staff for answering all those phone calls? I know
Yes.
the garbage questions with the fee that just came out. I've gotten several phone calls as well, but please thank them and thank them with the pay-as-you-throw. It's a lot of hard work, and I really appreciate it. I try to thank them when I see them, but I'm not here that often. So please pay it forward. Thanks.
I just want to echo that, Mayor. I got a call from a lady who had talked with finance and solid waste and had a good experience and wanted to pass along to me to thank as well. So I wanted to echo what Commissioner Hedden had to say.
Okay, and so I'll hand over Mr. Moore.
I apologize, but I have to respond to Commissioner Wilder's inaccurate statements to the public and to the commission. First of all, with respect to CSX, information has been provided to the person that requested that contact information. As a matter of fact, that person put together a letter to go to CSX, and that letter was sent along with city correspondence to CSX in order to attempt to get the approval to open the bicycle and pedestrian trail. It is very troubling to me when you have a person that consistently misstates the facts, and particularly when that person is on TV. Again, to the best of my knowledge, I have never been verbally reprimanded. No one on the commission, other than Commissioner Wilder, in open session has told me that there's a strike against me. No one has ever told me that. I have met with each of the members of the commissioner, except for Commissioner Wilder, who I asked to meet with, and he said he didn't want to meet with me. So with all due respect, I said fine. But I've met with the other 4 members of the city commission, and I've asked them whether they are satisfied with the job that I'm doing for them as the city solicitor, and each of them said yes. And so I guess what I would say is if members of the city commission have a problem with the way in which I'm representing the city, then I wish that they would give me the courtesy of saying, Mr. Moore, we want you to do it in a different way, and I will do so. In terms of openness and transparency, I would think that if there has been a verbal reprimand or a strike, which I'm not privy to, someone would tell me about that at the time that it occurs so that I can exercise my rights under the statutes and the city personnel policy. But to be defamed on TV by statements that are inaccurate is very troubling. So, Mayor, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to make that statement. I would say if someone wants to discuss this further, it should be done in a closed personnel hearing, and then we can address it there.
Is that your legal opinion or your personal opinion?
Okay, we're going to move on now to new business.
I have to respond to that, Mayor.
Well, we'll be moving on now to any new business.
I guess we have to wait for Commissioner Turner to come back and put this to a
New
vote.
business. Commissioner Hedden.
I have one thing for new business. I got the lists in regard to abandoned properties and stuff. Thank you for the city sweep. 49 parcels of the 2010 sweep remain as abandoned for 2011. I didn't know if we could just not supply, and maybe this should have been under old business, but not supply the garbage containers for the pay-as-you-throw program to abandoned properties. I don't know if that's something maybe we should talk to Gary about and have Gary talk to Fred, but consider no pay-as-you-throw program to an abandoned property. I mean, they're already not paying their taxes. What makes you think that sending out a bill, they're gonna pay that too, even if it's a free can?
Well, I think where that come in was by the PVA records, it doesn't show that as an abandoned property. If they automatically, by talking with, hearing the discussion with Steve and Angie, with the customer today, they automatically sent a garbage can and stuff to that particular address.
Okay.
And that's how that got, because that's where we get our information is from, the PVA office, and that's where they got theirs.
Okay.
So that's why those happen, and hopefully we will get that taken care of with working with them and getting those things taken off. Because honestly, I don't think nobody thought about that at the
Right.
time.
I mean, there's so many other things.
That was going on, but we'll get that taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mayor, the city commissioner essentially accused me of being a liar.
Wait just a
And I have
second, wait just a second.
proof to the contrary.
We're in new business, and the city commissioner, city manager, we have a person here with his audit. Would you like to take care of that?
Yes, we,
Mayor, I like to call an order of personal precedent. Yes, I am allowed to make a motion right now to allow
Make your
myself to
motion. All right,
talk.
make your motion.
And when you try to silence duly elected
Make your
representatives of the
motion.
public, that's
Make your
censorship.
motion,
I'd like
Commissioner.
to introduce a motion to allow me to respond to the city solicitor's claims that I have somehow misrepresented the truth.
Okay, do you have a second for that? Motion
I'll
dies.
second it.
You what?
I'll second.
You second it? Okay, any discussion?
I'll discuss it real quick. No, I'll discuss just the vote. I'm just gonna discuss whether or not, I'm just gonna discuss the vote, Mayor, not the subtext. I just wanna make this point, okay? It isn't possible for anybody here to keep me from saying this stuff in public. Now, you can keep me from saying it on the record or in a public meeting. Y'all can vote to keep these comments off the record, much like a previous commission voted to keep Tony's ethics conviction off that record. But you all cannot, nobody can prevent me from saying this stuff in public. All you all can do is publicly vote to keep it off the record.
Right, just have the vote, call the vote.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Hedden?
No.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
No.
Mayor Graham?
No, so your motion dies. Okay, let's move on here. City manager?
thank you, Mayor. We appreciate the representative of Mount Joy, Chilton, and Medley being with us this evening. And we have Mr. Dawson. You want to come forward and say anything about our audit? We have our annual audit that was to be considered tonight for the year 2010, 2011.
Thank you, Fred. We discussed this a little bit last meeting, and I wanted just to see if there's any more questions before we vote to finalize the audit tonight. We had some lengthy discussions and questions last week, or several weeks ago, and I appreciate Debbie coming tonight, Debbie Smith from Mount Joy. But are there any other questions or comments? No.
If Commissioner Wilder would like to go ahead, I'm more than welcome. I was going to make a comment, but if you'd like to go.
I'm not in a particular rush. You want to make yours first?
I just wanted to thank Debbie, for coming and to 2 meetings and spending time with us and going through the audit and explaining it. It was very informative, and certainly appreciate all the hard work that's been put into it.
Commissioner Hayden?
And I would still like to thank all of our managers for all that you've done to continue to control the overhead and the personnel cost. I know it's hard. I know most of you guys are all short-staffed, and our city personnel works very hard. But to see that it represents an increase of $1 million $83,603 over the past year. Thank you very much. Previous commissions have overspent and put us in the situation that we're in, and I just continue to thank you for the cuts that you guys have taken and for our staff that really take the brunt of all that.
Okay, Commissioner Wilder.
I also really want to thank you for this audit, and I've been very critical of past audits, and it's nice to see this one has been a breath of fresh air. And I enjoyed talking with you when you were in here. Gosh, was it last month? I think so. So thank you for that. In regards to just a couple of comments of the information regarding the information provided in the audit, and this is to clarify a couple of things. When the commission waived the garbage fee for the first half of last year, a lot of folks insisted and warned us that if we did that, it would deplete our reserves. And I'd just like to note that this audit, and lots of folks are actually, in all fairness, lots of folks are still claiming that we're depleting our reserves and that we're spending, you know, way more money than we're bringing in, et cetera. And I'd just like to note that this audit does prove definitively that that claim was never accurate. This audit proves definitively that we did manage to, within the fiscal year that we waived